We're on the record in, 4 cases. The first case is cause number 322454. Second case is cause number 322724. Third case is cause number 322726. And the fourth case is cause number 322778. All 4 cases are styled the state of Texas versus Timothy Ray Hall. Mr. Hall, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Hall, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, Mr. Hall, you may put your hand down. How you doing, Mr. Hall?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. He's soft-spoken, Your Honor.
Okay, yeah, gotta speak up. She's taking a record. How are you doing?
Good, Your Honor.
That's good. Let's see, this is 24. Mr. Hall, in cause number 322724, case is filed in the state of Texas versus Timothy Ray Hall. The information alleges that on or about November 21st of 2018, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of evading arrest detention. Mr. Hall, do you understand what you've been charged with? And to this charge, Mr. Hall, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? Now, you're pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? What do you say? Okay, and are you pleading guilty because you're guilty? Okay, Mr. Hall, I have before me what is marked as State's Exhibit Number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment. You recognize this document? Now, on this document, that box that's checked states that this is a Class A misdemeanor. The range of punishment for Class A misdemeanor, confinement in jail for a term not to exceed 1 year, fine not to exceed $4,000, or you could be given both such fine and confinement. You understand that? On page 2 of the same document, Mr. Hall, are these your initials on the line that says guilty?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And on page 3 of this same document, Mr. Hall, is this your signature above the line that says defendant?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And on the next document, which is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, Mr. Hall, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And is this your signature on this document?
Yes, sir.
And there's one box that's checked at the top of this document. That box states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that? Do you understand that?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And Mr. Hall, I have another document here. This document is titled the Discovery Certification. Mr. Hall, do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that says defendant?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Hall, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did your attorney, Mr. Paget, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. State, you like to offer State's 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
No objections, Your Honor.
Okay, no objection. State's Exhibit Number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Paget, you've advised and counseled Mr. Hall. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
None, Your Honor.
Mr. Hall, your attorney, Mr. Paget, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Mr. Hall, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea of guilty and waiver is freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
The state is offering 1 year deferred adjudication, a $1,000 fine plus 80 hours of community service. And this is to be concurrent or run concurrent with case number 322778.
Do you have a copy of that judgment? Mr. Hall, the state is offering that you serve 1 year deferred adjudicated probation in this case. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $1,000 plus court costs of $337, which comes to a total of $1,337. You will also be required to pay probation fees of $60 each month and a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. Now, the total monthly installments that you would have to pay per month on this case is $200 per month. Mr. Hall, would you be able to pay the $200 per month?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Hall, you will also be required to perform 80 hours of community service. And this case will run concurrent with cause number 322778. And I see here on the judgment, state, are you dismissing the other two cases?
Yes, Your Honor, case number 322454 and case number 322726 will be dismissed.
Okay, and Mr. Hall, the state will be dismissing cause number 322454 and cause number 322726. Mr. Hall, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Hall, we have another case here, and this case is cause number 322778. And in this case, Mr. Hall, the state is alleging that on or about November 21st of 2018, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of burglary of a vehicle. Mr. Hall, do you understand what you've been charged with in this case?
You understand what you're charged with?
Do you understand what you've been charged with in this case?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And in this case, Mr. Hall, to the offense of the Class A misdemeanor offense of burglary of a vehicle, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Now, you're pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you pleading guilty because you're guilty? Okay, now, Mr. Hall,
You're gonna have to speak. She has to hear you.
yeah, she has to hear you. Now, Mr. Hall, I have before me what's been marked as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document? You need to come up, you recognize it? Okay, on page 2 of the same document, Mr. Hall, are these your initials?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And on page 3 of this document, Mr. Hall, is this your signature?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And on the next document, which is the trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, Mr. Hall, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And is this your signature on the line that says defendant?
Yes, sir, Your
There's
Honor.
one box that's checked at the top of this document. This document states that this is a plea bargain agreement and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
I also have before me the discovery certification in this case. Mr. Hall, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And is that your signature on the line that says defendant?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Hall, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did your attorney, Mr. Paget, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. State, you like to offer States 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections?
Objections, Your Honor.
Okay, no objection. States Exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Paget, in this case, you advise and counsel Mr. Hall. Is there any evidence that he's currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Hall, your attorney, Mr. Paget, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Mr. Hall, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your pleas of guilty and waivers are freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty in both cases. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
The state is offering 1 year deferred adjudication, a $1,000 fine, plus court costs, plus 80 hours of community service, and that is to run concurrent with case number 322724.
Mr. Hall,
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
the state is offering that you serve 1 year deferred adjudication in this case. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $1,000 plus court costs of $342, which comes to a total of $1,342. You will not be required to pay probation fees in this case because you're paying it in the other case. You will be required to pay a $15 urinalysis fee each month, and this will come to a total monthly installments of $140. Mr. Hall, would you be able to pay the $140 each month in this case?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Hall, you will also be required to perform 80 hours of community service. This case will run concurrent with cause number 322724 and cause number 322454 and cause number 322726 will be dismissed, and you would also have to adhere in both cases to the standard terms, the other standard terms and condition of probation. Now, Mr. Hall, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
You think that the state's offer is in your case is fair and just?
Yes,
Do you accept the state's offer?
yes, sir, Your Honor.
Mr. Hall, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Now, Mr. Hall, in both cases, if you successfully complete the probationary periods, the cases will be dismissed and you will not have this conviction on your record, and you may qualify for a non-disclosure. And if you need consultation on that, you can talk to your attorney, Mr. Paget, who's quite competent in these matters. Mr. Hall, please stand over here there's a mark on the floor. You'll stand before the court clerk and just follow her directions. And Mr. Hall, have a blessed day.